Welcome, everybody. This is the No Politics Wrestling Podcast, the most dope, the most real, the most must-listen wrestling podcast in the whole motherfucking podcast world. I am your host, FakinNoMoves, here as always with my co-host, WorkinGenius. It is July 12th, Wednesday. We got some wrestling to talk about, as usual. Some headlines. You know, Raw was big, Smackdown was big. We finally got to see AJ Styles. He's the U.S. champ now, you know, so we're going to get into that. And, yeah, what's up?
Chilling, excited to talk about wrestling. I mean, you basically covered it all right there, all the main things. You know, Raw was good, Smackdown was dope. AJ Styles debut with the U.S. title. He just won at MSG over the weekend, which was big. We haven't seen a main title like that switch hands on a live event since I could remember. I mean, I remember Finn Balor and Samoa Joe did it, but it wasn't a main title, it was the NXT title. So that's pretty damn cool, and I like that they had it at MSG, because MSG is always a big event, and I love that it was AJ Styles using his U.S. title #1 contendership immediately after he won it in last week's SmackDown when he won that Battle Royal. So it was kind of cool. It was like he didn't even want to wait. He just wanted, you know, he had this opportunity. He was like, you know what, MSG, let's do it type shit. And, you know, I don't want to say the word cash in or the phrase cash in, but he kind of, you know, cashed in his #1 contender opportunity at MSG and won, and it was dope. And then he kicked off SmackDown, and it was fire.
Word.
It was good to see it on him.
So SmackDown's fresh in our mind, and that's basically, you know, how it popped off. So we might as well talk about SmackDown. But AJ had an open challenge for the title.
Yes.
And what happened?
So AJ has an open challenge, and of course, I don't even want to do his whole shit. But John Cena
sucks.
Yeah. So John Cena comes out, and I mean, it was predictable to me. Like, if you gonna have an open challenge and Cena's in the building, you know Cena's gonna step up.
Mr. America.
Of course. So Cena comes down to the ring, and he's like, did I hear that straight? Like, of course, when you say it's an open challenge, you mean open to everyone except me, right? And AJ steps up, and he's like, that means especially you. So it's about to pop off. And so Cena's like, all right, let's get a ref. A ref comes down. They about to pop off. And then Kevin Owens' music hits. And he comes down, hops on the mic, tells him, like, nah, like, you can't just get that shot. That shot, like, I still have my rematch. And until then, like, nobody's going to, you know, deserves to be in a U.S. title match.
And so, nobody wants to see you. And John Cena said, no, you just can't see me.
Exactly. Crowd pops. And then from behind, Rusev attacks Cena. And then AJ kind of like hits Rusev and turns around, and Owens is in the ring, hits AJ, hits him with the pop-up powerbomb. And then Rusev puts Cena in the accolade. So Owens and Rusev stood tall. And of course, you already knew what it was time for. Classic tag team match, player.
Mm-hmm. Player.
So that was the main event for the night. That's how SmackDown kicked off. It was pretty dope. You know, it would have been dope to see Styles and Cena go at it, you know, but save that. You know, it's going to happen. I mean, the way I see it's going to happen is Styles, Owens. I could see a Styles, Owens, Cena U.S. title match at some point. Triple threat. That would be kind of dope, I think. So, because we know Cena's had classic matches with Owens, singles matches. We know Styles has had classic matches with Cena, singles matches. And Styles and Owens could have classic matches on their own as well. So imagine all three of them in the ring. I think it would be dope if that could ever happen.
Yeah, that was cool, man. I really liked seeing it. Rusev finally, you know, get physical. I think this is the first time we see him in a long time since he had the mask. Really, actually get into some action. And like you said, they were the main event. They had a tag match, so that was cool. We're gonna, we'll talk about that a little later on. But SmackDown was dope, man. We had the women's. We had a lot of storytelling. Actually, right after that match, after that segment, the first match of the night was Ty Dillinger and the champ Mahal.
Yeah. Now, I gotta agree with you. Ton of storytelling, like a shit ton. Like we saw, I felt like we saw almost everyone on the roster tonight.
Yeah.
Except like Aiden English and like the Ascension and those people. But everyone else appeared in some way. I felt like. So yeah, the first match of the night ended up being Ty Dillinger, Jinder Mahal, which I was kind of surprised. I wasn't sure why this match was set up, and that kind of threw me off. I don't know if they mentioned it and I missed it, but that threw me off. I mean, I was excited because I could see Ty Dillinger, and I love Ty Dillinger, but it just didn't really add up for me. And I think they made mention of how Ty Dillinger was like Final Four in the U.S. title battle royal last week, and maybe they thought like, oh, so he's proven his worth, I guess. I don't know. That was one thing I didn't really understand, and I wasn't so on board with, especially because Ty Dillinger takes the L, and that's not my favorite thing to see.
I mean, I knew you would probably have a dislike for that, but I actually looked at it in a real positive way. Now here we go. This is me being, my usual self, but I looked at it more like Ty Dillinger, like you said, he's proven now. They believe he could go in the ring, and they're giving him a rub. Like 1 week he's debuting in NXT because that's still fresh, and then another week he's in a match with the champ, even though it wasn't for a title. So there wasn't really much on the line. It was just like a match to get your shit off, like show your skills, do your thing, show you can look good with the champ. If he was a top player, it showed they have chemistry. So imagine what a feud could be if the story was right, though. And SmackDown is good at making stories. I'm not saying they're gonna go all into that because Jinder got a lot on his hands. He's still in the storyline with Randy. I still feel Rusev could become a part of that storyline. John Cena could become a part of that storyline at any moment. You know what I'm saying? And AJ too one day, or Kevin Owens.
I feel like the way the landscape of SmackDown is right now, I feel like there's a lot of different ways it can go, of course. But I think, as you just mentioned, Rusev could put himself in that picture immediately. And, we've always kind of had Rusev in the back of our minds when it comes to Jinder Mahal being the champion because they have their history. And a lot of us thought Rusev would return and be Jinder's first feud after Orton. And, I mean, he still very well could be. I think we all just kind of expected the Orton thing to end by now. But it will end in the Punjabi prison at Battleground.
Yeah.
So it's
and I'm looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to that too. Mahal said in a promo after the match that he was going to bring the Punjabi prison to SmackDown. So it's the last SmackDown before Battleground. So that'll be next week. But as I was saying, if Rusev were to beat Cena at Battleground, yes, Rusev isn't a title holder or even in the U.S. title picture or anything like that. But a win over Cena immediately gives him the grounds to say, listen, I beat John Cena. I deserve a shot at the title off that. You know what I mean? Like leveraging beating Cena is huge. Just like Reigns kind of leveraged beating The Undertaker into claiming he's the number one contender, which Heyman kind of backed him on. Let's not even get into that right now. But it's a similar thing. So Rusev can beat Cena at Battleground, and I don't know if they're going to have Rusev beat Cena, but it's also a flag match, which means it's kind of gimmicky. And like we said last week, in gimmicky kind of matches, you could have the lesser star win that kind of match because without hurting the top star as much. So the only thing is that it's a flag match, and because Cena represents America, that's another thing. Is Cena gonna lose in a match to represent America? But it's tough. But if Rusev Oh, but here's another thing. I could see Owens. Maybe Owens loses his U.S. title match, right, at Battleground. How's this? Then Owens is so mad and frustrated that he needs to take it out on someone, and he attacks Cena in that flag match or some shit like that. Rusev wins, so Rusev can claim a title shot for Jinder Mahal's title to start that, and then what that sets up is the Owens Cena Styles triple threat for SummerSlam or some shit like that. I'm just booking here, but you know. I'm just a regular guy, but I can see that, and I think that would be dope. I think that's definitely something that
I think
should
that
be
would
on
be
their
dope
mind.
too. I think that would be dope too.
And it flows, right? It's
and
not.
I like
It doesn't
that
seem
better.
forced at all.
But I also know, like we always talk about, don't sleep on WWE. They do the surprise outcome when we don't want it. They do like some random shit that we like, and then when we do want something to happen, they do the shit we don't like.
Yeah,
You know?
don't WWE needs to stop sleeping on me, actually.
Yeah.
But you know, we're talking all this shit, and Orton probably wins at the Punjabi prison.
Exactly.
Like the fuck.
Well, speaking of Battleground, though, you know, before we continue to SmackDown, I really love the fucking the commercial.
The little
commercial, yeah, the commercial is fire.
I don't remember seeing the commercial.
Man, you gotta look it up, man. It's pretty dope, man.
I gotta look that up right now.
No, when you get the chance. But yeah, I think that commercial's dope. I mean, if you don't agree, then you know it's because you haven't seen it. So you suck. You next episode, you better remind, be like, yo.
If you don't agree, I got 2 words for you.
Anyway, battleground. Word.
We got kids listening.
Definitely. But yeah. So that was that. What else happened on SmackDown?
I want to say, okay, you kind of touched on the women. They're setting up for Battleground. It's going to be a 5-way elimination. I was going to say a fatal 5-way. I don't know if it's still fatal if it's an elimination match. But it's a 5-way elimination match between Charlotte, Becky, Tamina, Lana, and Natty.
Yeah.
To see who's #1 contender for Naomi's title. And I was kind of upset at this also, but for storytelling purposes, not the match. But first of all, remember when it was the Money in the Bank match was announced?
Yeah.
And I was like, they don't even have a #1 contender for for the title. So why are they putting all these women in the Money in the Bank match? You know what I'm saying? Of course, they settled that by, you know, hot-shotting Lana into the title picture, which is kind of odd. But they made it work. So I wasn't mad at that. What I am mad at now is the lack of continuity in the fact that, remember Charlotte was #1 contender?
Mm-hmm.
And remember she and Naomi were having a match, and that was when the welcoming committee storyline kind of began, and they attacked them, and it was a double DQ, and they cut the match short. So I figured, okay, so Becky, Charlotte, and Naomi are going to handle the welcoming committee at the next pay-per-view, whatever the last SmackDown pay-per-view was. And then after that, Charlotte's going to get her shot. But then, of course, they had the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So then they had that. But this is just pushed off Charlotte's #1 contender match that she never really got a clean shot at. So to me, Charlotte is still #1 contender. They never finished fleshing that story out. So I was kind of bothered by that, and Charlotte didn't seem upset by it. You know, to me, Charlotte should have been like, listen, like, I had the #1 contender spot until these girls ruined it. But instead, she was just like, all right, like, you know, like, she was cool with it. And then her and Becky, like, are imaginary sipping tea, and they're all buddy-buddy now. And, I mean, they've been buddy-buddy for a while now, but I don't even like that. Word. To be honest, because they have mad history where Charlotte stabbed Becky in the back, and they never really wasn't even addressed either. They just teamed up because the welcoming committee. I don't know. I just think it was pretty poorly done.
Well, I will say this though. You're right. You have a point, but one thing I did take from that segment was they shitted on Lana.
Oh, of course, but it makes sense.
Yeah, Naomi was like, well, I understand, you know, Carmella has the briefcase; she could cash it whenever she wants, but I don't have a #1 contender. He was like, "You're right. You know what? I got ideas." She goes, "Please tell me it's not Lana again."
Yeah.
Well,
he goes, I didn't think that was a bad idea to shit on her because I think she spoke for the WWE universe.
Yeah.
So it was funny.
I didn't think it was a bad idea either. I'm just saying it was funny. It was great. And that's the one positive we're gonna take.
Charlotte actually said, "Why is Lana in this match?" Charlotte said it too.
Yeah. So Charlotte said they said it twice, and then they said it right in front of her face.
And then Tamina was like, "Hey, watch your mouth." Yeah. Tamina never hits with any hard hitting lines.
Tamina was like, "Hey, that's my girl." Those cheeks basically. Right there. Yeah. She went from handsome Rusev to handsome Tamina.
Oh man, yeah. So that was it for that. And then I'm not even sure what was next. You tell me.
What was next? Baron Corbin versus Shinsuke Nakamura was supposed to happen next?
Yeah, no. The New Day and the Usos.
New Day, yeah, actually with Xavier Woods
versus Jey Uso. I know the difference now, bruh. I got it.
Yeah?
Listen, Jey Uso has shorter hair, and he usually puts his in like a little man bun, or he lets it hang out and it's shorter. While Jimmy, he has really long hair, and he usually wears the hat, and he has it tied in the back.
Yep.
Got it. I don't know their facial structures or anything like that, though. But so far, right now, I'm just sticking with that. So I got it. So it was Jey Uso versus Xavier Woods. And early on, New Day kind of got in the mix, and Jimmy kind of got in the mix from ringside, and the ref had to throw them. It was a very short match, but it was dope, I thought.
Yeah.
Because once the ruckus outside of the ring got settled, Xavier Woods kind of turned around into a super kick, and then Jay went for the frog splash, hit it, but Xavier Woods kicked out. And then shortly after, he had Jay tied up in the ropes, and then Xavier Woods did that like springboard elbow he does.
Mm-hmm.
Is it an elbow?
Yeah, he dropped the elbow because he was like sitting on the rope.
And Jay was like stuck in the ropes, kind of sitting on the middle rope with half his body in the ring, half of his body out, and Xavier hit him with the springboard elbow, and it was dope. Looked really good, and they kind of put it over on the commentary team, so maybe that's like his thing. Like, I've seen him do it before. I don't think I've ever seen him do it when the person was in the ropes the way Jay was.
Yeah.
But Xavier Woods gets the pin. I thought, just because, let me book right here real quick. So I thought when Jay got pinned, Jimmy had come down to ringside immediately after, whereas the New Day were a little late to come down. Like, I noticed Jimmy hit the ring, but the New Day hadn't hit the ring yet. And I thought this was a prime opportunity for Jimmy and Jay to target Xavier right after the match while New Day is still not down to ringside yet, and try to mess up Xavier Woods to kind of even those odds. Because to me, Jimmy and Jay they're strategic enough to think like, yo, let's get this dude right now. We got him alone right now because New Day was kicked from ringside. I'm at the ring already post match, and they're not down the ramp yet. Let's get a few shots in. So I was thinking that they should have took advantage of that, but they didn't. And then the New Day kind of comes down slowly after. But I thought that was a little missed opportunity where they could have, messed up Xavier Woods a little bit. Then New Day comes running down the ramp, and they kind of escape through the crowd. I would have liked to see that. But, 1 week, there's one more episode of SmackDown before Battleground. So maybe next week we see something like that where they do something like that, maybe.
I thought you were going to talk about your idea for the tournament.
No. Do you want me to talk about that?
I mean, that's a pretty good idea too, because you be booking shit, but unfortunately they aren't as smart as you are.
Relevant.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold that one. I'm gonna put that one in my back pocket. Keep tuning in to the No Politics Wrestling Podcast if you want to hear my idea for elevating the SmackDown tag titles. Right now they're in a good spot though, which is why I don't think it's super relevant. So as long as the Usos have it, the SmackDown tag titles are elevated enough for me. If New Day wins it, still elevated. So they're in a good spot right now.
After that, we had the Shinsuke Nakamura and Baron Corbin match.
Exactly.
That was supposed to happen. I think Baron got interviewed before the match, and then the match happened. Then he went down in the ring. Then Shinsuke was supposed to. No, then Shinsuke came down in the ring, then Baron.
Yes.
And then before Baron could even make it to the ring, Nakamura goes out the ring and starts getting into a fight with him, and they start brawling. They go over to the barricade. They go out to the where the fans are sitting, and they just brawl, and the match never gets started.
Yeah, but you kind of expected that.
Yep.
I mean, which is good. I don't want to see Nakamura on a random SmackDown singles match. You know, so
yeah.
I was totally fine with this. They had a little brawl. It's been boiling. It's been bubbling. So they got a match scheduled for Battleground.
That's interesting for me, like to see that right after the Money in the Bank, Baron Corbin's first feud is gonna be Nakamura, and Nakamura is his first feud outside of Dolph Ziggler, which was like probably one match and done. That was one match and done.
They had a couple rematches, I believe.
On SmackDown, I don't know pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But now him and Baron Corbin instead of him and AJ Styles, so that's interesting. So I like.
Well, I wouldn't want him and AJ Styles to feud right now.
Yeah, I know. It's probably what, SummerSlam or WrestleMania, right?
I would hope WrestleMania. They could push that off for a while.
Yeah, that's what the whole Money in the Bank tease was about, with them.
Yeah, no, well, if you're in that situation, you gotta tease it. Like, even a week before Money in the Bank, they teased Nakamura, Sami Zayn. So, it's good to just tease little things like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as Corbin's first feud being Nakamura, like, it is interesting because Corbin just won Money in the Bank. So, it's like, okay, he's a big fish right now. And, you want to make him look good. But Nakamura is undefeated as well, so Nakamura has to look good.
Yep.
I don't want to make this prediction early, but Nakamura is going to stay undefeated and beat Corbin because it's not the worst thing for Corbin to lose, even though he's the Money in the Bank holder.
Yeah, because he doesn't lose the briefcase unless it's on the line. But all in all, Battlegrounds card is pretty solid.
I like it.
Yeah, I definitely like it.
What do we have? Usos New Day, the 5-way women match, the Corbin Nakamura, Styles Owens, Cena Rusev. That shit is pretty stacked, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we might get Sami Zayn and
Jinder Orton. Shit, we just shit on the main title on SmackDown all the time now.
I thought you said that.
I was thinking Styles and Owens was the main event.
Right. But we also might get Sami Zayn, Mike Kanellis. You never know.
Oh yeah, I think we will get that for sure.
So
and then some pre-show, maybe Fashion Files. Wow. Breezango, versus whoever trashed their room. Which
I missed that part. So
well, they've been going around trying to figure out who's trashed their room. So
was that like
segment? They had a segment with Mojo and Zack Ryder saying like, "Oh, isn't it interesting that when you came back 2 weeks ago, that was the week our room was trashed." And then Mojo kind of comes up and he's like, "Oh, we wouldn't do anything like that. That's kind of shady." And then Zach was like, "Oh, kind of like how you eliminated me from the Battle Royal last week." This was a kind of dope. And like I mentioned, there was a lot of moving pieces, a lot of storytelling. So, like, just in this segment, you got the whole Breezango still looking for who trashed their room. And then you got the Mojo Zach thing still building up. So, I like that, SmackDown, see, I shit on the whole, the fact that Charlotte wasn't upset with the number one contender thing. And I even kind of shit on Ty Dillinger and the lack of storytelling with him being involved with Jinder Mahal, but the storytelling, despite that, just seemed great to me. So, just little shit like that I loved.
And at that point, we were pretty much almost done.
Yeah, we got the
women's match.
We did get a women's match. Wow, I totally forgot.
Yeah, it was a
Charlotte and Natty
match
versus Tamina and Charlotte and Becky versus Tamina and
Natty, and they left Lana out. And
but Lana ended up getting involved and being the reason Tamina pinned Charlotte, I believe. Tamina pinned Charlotte?
Yeah.
Becky.
No, Becky.
I don't remember. She pinned one of them.
One of them got pinned.
I still hate her theme song, though.
Yeah.
So I'm mad she pinned anyone because that means we had to listen to her theme song. But
yeah, honestly, that match, it was. I don't know.
forgettable.
It kind of went by. I was eating dinner.
Yeah, I was. What was that? What was I doing? Anything else, probably. Just
Yeah,
anything. Just anything else. I mean, we're
exactly.
gonna see them in a 5-way
They're all gonna
elimination
fight each
match. I
other.
don't.
So
Yeah, I don't need to be seeing the same tag matches over and over. So
yeah,
I definitely tuned out. Not even gonna front. And after this, we had a backstage segment. Sami Zayn finding Maria and Mike backstage because Maria had been looking for Sami Zayn early in the night.
yep.
And he's like, "I'm sorry," or no, she's like, we deserve an apology," and he's like, "Well, I'm sorry, and I've even said it multiple times actually, and now I'm not even sure why I'm sorry." And so he kind of just started going off on Maria, and she smacked him, and then Mike kind of saw that she did that, and then kind of jumped in by grabbing a glass vase and hitting Zayn over the head with it and shattering it, and then they just kind of left. So that shit is bubbling as well. More good storytelling. I dug it.
And then we got the good old fashioned tag team matchup. Player. Player.
Owens, Styles, Cena, Rusev. Not in that order. Not those teams. But
Holla, 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 holla.
so what happened in this match? This was a good match.
Yeah. Cena and Styles together. Cena and Styles together was dope. Seeing that, like, they really went all out. Rusev and Owens were good together. Rusev, this is the first time we got to see him back in action in the ring, so I was digging it. I fuck with Rusev. I see a lot of big things on the horizon for Rusev. And the one thing I kept thinking too is like, all right, they really went with this. Like, I'm so used to always seeing him with Lana. So now they're like separate, and let's see how this turns out. I'm real interested. But yeah, man, how'd you feel?
I like the match. I like seeing Rusev, as you said. There was a part in the match where Styles was looking for the hot tag, and he's like, they mention how it's like Styles doesn't even know where he is, and he crawls into the wrong corner for the tag. Like he crawls into one of the random corners looking for the tag, and then like realizes. But I mean, he obviously did it on purpose.
Yeah.
But before hot tagging Cena, and it was just dope. It was a cool little thing that Styles did, and then Cena comes in. I forget what happens at this point. I think he does like the 5 moves of doom to Owens. And Owens really sold the 5 knuckle shuffle too.
I saw.
You did see that, right?
And then actually, right when he did the 5 knuckle shuffle, that's when my TV cut out and I didn't get to see the finish. Remember, I called you and I was like, "Yo, my shit cut out," and I literally missed like right after the damn 5 knuckle shuffle.
He hits him with the 5 knuckles of shuffle. I think he goes for the AA, and then Rusev comes in and kicks him. So he drops Owens, who like stumbles into the corner, and then Styles springboards from outside of the ring and does the phenomenal forearm on Rusev, and then Owens goes to swing at Styles, misses. Styles Pele kicks him, and then he stumbles into Cena, who AAs Owens. 1, 2, 3.
Finish. And that's it. Mr. America and the U.S. champ get the W.
And they had a little moment where they were looking at each other, and then Cena kind of hands Styles his U.S. title and raises his arm.
Yep.
So, cool SmackDown. I fucking loved it. Despite the things I mentioned, it was still dope. Still the A show. What's up?
Solid show. Definitely went by quick. Like it didn't drag. Like you said, it had storytelling. So it was a solid show.
Never drags. This is SmackDown we talking about.
But we also have Raw, and it wasn't too much to talk about from Raw, but it was the I guess you could say the follow up episode after Great Balls of Fire, which we both agree Great Balls of Fire was a great. Well, I'm not gonna say great pay-per-view, but it exceeded our expectations. That pay-per-view.
Yes.
Correct.
I fucking loved Great Balls of Fire, and we mentioned it on the last episode. If you didn't catch that,
yeah.
But there was a lot of good things coming off of that.
So this was the follow-up episode, and it started off good with a big cast. Started off Raw. Mm-hmm. We could get to that. He had solid mic work. I think it was kind of like obvious when he kept saying the high standard, and he was like putting his hand like taller than him and
Yeah,
shit. You know?
I kind of called it. I told you, like, I was watching it with my little brother, and I told him, like, for storytelling purposes, I know who Cass's next feud should be.
Yeah.
Just before he even had to say it. And then, like you said, his promo kind of made it obvious who he was referring to. And towards the end of the promo, I felt like it was a good promo, but towards the end of it, he kind of started saying things, and it was almost like he was just waiting for the music to hit.
Yeah.
And, like, you could see him kind of looking off, like, I don't know how to explain it, like, looking kind of side-eyed, like, expecting it. And it was like the music wasn't hitting, so he just had to keep speaking. So if you watched his eyes, you would notice that. But other than that, I still thought a solid promo. Just he needs to fix that little issue, but solid
I
fucking promo.
loved him and Big Show going at it, and when Big Show like kind of like that's a big dude that you could work with who's also athletic, and Big Show took him down, got him in that choke, rolled him like that's called the Gator roll. He did a Gator roll with him, show something different, like something new that you haven't seen from Big Show. So I was like, yo, let's not forget Big Show has 2 classic matches with Braun Strowman. He's gonna do something good with fucking Big Cass, because the one problem in Big Show's career is he never had anyone big to go against besides Kane, like that can match him, his height, his athleticness, and now we got 2 new big dudes like Big Cass and Braun Strowman who have shown they can do that, and I think it's gonna be a good start out feud, probably 1 or 2 matches the most, but it's probably be a good ass match. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't mad at it, and I figured it also ties into the whole thing with Enzo when he was blaming Big Show.
That's exactly why, to me, it was the perfect feud, because they had that unfinished business. What I was gonna say was, you mentioned how it was a good look for Big Show to be doing that Gator roll and showing something different. I also thought it was dope to see someone handling Big Cass like that, because he hasn't been in the ring with someone like that, and Cass kind of looked overwhelmed.
And Cass played his cards right. He let Big Show drag him around, beat him down, and then he rolled out like a sucker and got more heat. Because now he's supposed to be a bad guy. So it's working. Doesn't matter what you think about whether he's being cheesy or not. Because, I was like, damn, he was popping all that shit. And then, look, Big Show gets him good, But that's what's supposed to happen, because this is his character now. He's going to be a sucker.
Exactly. And here's what I like. Sometimes I talk about the coward heel and how I don't love it all the time. But in this situation, it worked, because it wasn't like he backed down immediately. He stepped up to the Big Show when the Big Show first entered the ring. But once he saw that the Big Show was putting it on him, then he rolled out the ring, which was really smart. It wasn't as much of a coward move as it was like, oh shit, like, that was a good move by Cass to get out of there before he got messed up. So I loved it.
Yeah, so we had that. We had, right after that, we started hot. Finn Balor had a match, solid match. Him and Elias Sampson, which we thought they would have a match on Great Balls of Fire. But instead, we had that match, which was interesting. I'm not going to talk too much about the match. Finn Balor got the win, of course he would. But after the match, he's at the top of the stair. The stairs, the stage, and who comes out? The Hardy Boys. And I've been real interested in this. I also read an interview where they asked Finn Balor, like, will we see the club? And he was like, for me, I don't think so, because that was a time, and for me and Carl, especially, we're the original members of it. It was just a time in life that I don't know if we're going to be able to, or if we'll have the opportunity to do it and recreate that. He was like, but now, me and the Hardy Boys, I always looked up to them. I would love to do something with them and be in a team with them. So that's interesting. And then what are the coincidence after he's basically giving them their props, like, yeah, go down to the ring, and the Hardy Boys cut it. Excellent promo. Matt and Jeff were saying how they were so close, they were 1 second away, but no matter what, they're still, here they're just getting started. There's so much more that they gotta show the WWE universe and shit. And then Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows interrupt, which is the club, and then they Gallows starts calling them nerds, and they're old, they're washed. They don't look like the old Hardy Boys. They're just really the old Hardy Boys, like they're old as fuck.
Yeah, literally old.
And then Matt says, you know what? Even though we might have some scars, some stitches, and we might be a little broken, why don't we get a match going? And the whole crowd was like, delete, delete, delete. Like,
not full broken, just a little broken.
A little broken. Yeah, that shit was beautiful. I loved it. I really did.
Yeah. And then that led to the club versus the Hardys, right?
Yep. Oh.
Which then what happened?
Oh, and the thing too, I knew the club was going to come out because Matt said we still have magic to create. And their move is the magic killer, the magic, And then what happens? They have a one-on-one match, which was a dope match. And to our surprise, the club gets the W. Hits the magic killer on the Hardy Boys. On their way out, boom, kicking a old dog while he's down. Revival comes out and starts whipping that ass, which we talked about whether this was going to be the next feud for either the champs or the Hardy Boys. And look.
And you know why it's great? Because what do the Hardy Boys do? They flip.
Flip. Yeah.
And what do we always say? What's the Revival's words?
No flips, just fists. Woo. You already know.
I kind of love the way that whole thing is working. Little broken, creating magic. So we got the magic killers.
Yep.
Then no flips, just fists. I like that whole thing.
Yeah, that shit was dope, man. And then what's their finisher called again?
The Revivals?
Yeah.
Shatter Machine.
Shatter Machine. They hit him with the Shatter Machine. That shit was, oh man, it was brutal. They really made the Revival look fucking tough as nails. Like those motherfuckers you don't want to fuck with. And they originally did that. And they are that. And they originally did that with the New Day. And then, unfortunately, Dawson gets injured. Boom. Or Wilder gets injured actually, right? And then they come back and then they just do it again. And it's with the Hardy Boys. And it's still just as fucking good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no momentum was lost. Mm-hmm. That's the good part. So I'm interested to see what happens with the tag division. I thought Raw killed it, like, with the whole first hour.
I'm glad the club got the W, too, because we've been talking about Cesaro and Sheamus and the Hardys being, like, the only thing the Raw tag division really has. Plus the Revival, since they're back. So we were talking about those three tag teams, but they needed someone else, and I'm glad maybe this means, like, I know we always kind of get our hopes up, but, like, get the club into that picture, too, because they desperately need tag teams that are formidable on the Raw roster.
Yeah. Hot first hour. Second hour was decent. I think we had the Brock Lesnar Joe situation.
Yeah.
Which was like Brock came out live with Paul Heyman. And
Kurt Angle announced him first.
Actually, Kurt Angle came out and announced him, yeah.
Yeah.
And they talked about, Kurt said, what was it, 15 years ago? Or so 12 years ago, me and you we main evented WrestleMania. And that match, I could bet took, years off my career. Like, that was awesome. Like, I loved that whole dynamic that was in the ring. Like, even though Roman was a part of the segment, I felt like royalty was in the ring. Like, royalty was literally in the ring.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So that was dope. Sure. That was dope.
So, let's talk about it then. So, Roman hits the ring.
Yep.
Comes out, and Lesnar just kind of laughs at him. I love how Lesnar is just kind of like, you don't deserve a title shot. You think you deserve to be near my title?
He was like, take a good look at this. This is how close you're going to get.
But Roman actually, I thought Roman had a good comeback where he said, you couldn't handle Braun Strowman, he says to Kurt Angle. And then he says to Brock, he says, and you're never even around to handle Braun Strowman. Yep. So I did the job, basically.
Yep.
So I kind of thought that was dope.
Yeah.
And Then Samoa Joe comes down. And my favorite part about this, like, this is a lot of good moments, but I believe I mentioned it to you yesterday, is that when Joe's music hit and Joe began to come down to the ring, where Brock Lesnar kind of laughed at Reigns, when Joe's music hit and Joe came down, Brock Lesnar kind of got a little serious at first. Like, his reaction to the music was like, almost like he was shook. Like, Brock's acting was super on point in that moment.
Okay.
He put Joe over with just that look.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But once Joe hits the ring, Brock, he gets his balls again, and he's just like kind of laughing at Joe too. Like, I just handled you.
Yeah.
And so they're toe to toe, face to face, and it was just a dope little thing. And then
Brock is like, "You want some of this,
bro?
You want some of this?"
The intensity of Joe and Brock is amazing.
Money, like, please continue this.
They both know how to do it. Like, it's so
beautiful.
Dope,
it was
man.
beautiful.
And then, I mean, to me, that beats Reigns always kind of like laughing, like Reigns was like, "This is good," almost like this is fun to watch, like And I don't like that because like it takes away from that seriousness of the moment. Like, don't act like this is beneath you. Like, these is two legend type dudes. So
and then Heyman was like, "You don't deserve it. You got handled easily." And then
but check this, because you got to look into like tone and shit like that. So for example, how even though Brock kind of was just like shaking off Joe when Joe hit the ring, I told you when Joe's music hit, Brock had a different vibe.
Yeah.
So the tone of Heyman going off on Joe and saying like, "You don't deserve this," it wasn't from a point of you're actually not good enough. It was from a point of I really hope you don't get another chance at this.
We don't want you. Yeah.
So that's why that tone was so important to put across. Like, it's that they're scared of Joe, and I fucking love it because you need to be scared of Joe.
Yeah. Yeah. And even what Joe was like, no. Actually, that was Roman. That was though. He was like the father of hardcore. You guys are from the Attitude Era, and you telling me like what I did was too much. Like,
with Braun Strowman.
You guys nearly killed each other, and Heyman's the father of hardcore, and like you guys are trying to tell me like, So that was dope. But Joe was like, "Heyman's trying to save you from me." Like, he even said that. He said, "Your advocate, I hope you listen to him because he's trying to save you from me." Mm-hmm. That shit was on the money, boy. That shit was fire. I really loved that segment.
Yeah, and then Joe kind of speaks on Reigns being there, and then Reigns actually had another good line, which was, he said, "Look at me. Now look at Braun Strowman if you could find him." That was a fire line, bro. Yeah. So here's the thing about Reigns. He's been getting better at delivering lines. Reigns' issue now is his acting. Yeah. So, like, whereas Reigns could get serious, he still doesn't bring that intense feeling that I get from a guy like Joe. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel it the way I feel it with someone like Joe or Lesnar and people like that. But the lines that Reigns has been delivering, whether they're his own or not, it doesn't matter to me. He's been delivering them. Yeah. So I'm not going to knock him for that. To me, it's just he needs to cut it out with the whole, laughing thing, and he also needs to cut it out with talking to himself in matches. But that's another thing. But Reigns has improved. And I think the delivery of some of these lines and whether they're his or not, those lines were pretty dope.
Definitely a bright and high spot throughout the night. I think that probably was the highest spot of the night.
Yeah, which I'm glad I caught because there was a lot going on. The All-Star Home Run Derby.
The Home Run Derby, yeah, you're right.
So I was in it now.
And the shit is, though, that was like the end of the second hour of the show. And like, if Raw was a 2-hour show, boom, that would have been a fire show. Yeah. The whole Hardys, Balor's match, fucking Enzo and Big Show in the beginning, and then you finish with that, boom, would have blown SmackDown out the water right there.
I don't know
But
about
then we
that.
had,
Relax all that.
but then we had another hour, and we got the Mizzies, which wasn't bad, you know.
I enjoyed the Mizzies.
The Mizzies, and then Rollins and Ambrose kind of got involved in that. But
I
at
can
some
kind of rip
point,
this.
huh?
Can I rip this?
Yeah.
Can I rip it?
Yes, you
Yes, you
can.
can. Alright, so that might have to be my new shit. Because you know I like to go in. That might be my new shit. I'm
Rip
trying to
this
remember
shit.
that one. So Rollins comes out, and no, Ambrose comes out and tries to like fuck up the Mizzies, the party, right?
Yeah.
And then Rollins comes out for the save. You know how I feel about that shit sometimes. Like when random guys kind of come out for the save.
Yep.
I know we obviously know Rollins has history with Ambrose, but like,
and Miz
not the
mentioned
kind of history.
Rollins.
Yeah. I mean, Rollins' excuse was to shut Miz up.
Wait. Before we even get into this, that Miz came out. That Rollins came out for Miz. For Ambrose. How about Miz's award for the best man in WWE? And he said Dean Ambrose. And the fans were like, oh, he was like, yeah, right. Are you crazy? And he's like, it's me. That shit was classic.
Yo. And how about the "You Deserve It" chants?
Yeah.
Throughout the Mizzies. That was fucking dope.
Yep.
It was awesome. But it just goes to show, like, I'm telling you, like we spoke about, the Miz is in that gray area where he's almost trumped the idea of a bad guy. Because he's so on point with the shit that he says that it's like, yeah, he's a heel, but like, holy shit, I think he's right. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, all the time I'm thinking that when the Miz speaks now. And the crowd kind of like acknowledges that, and the crowd loves it. Like, the crowd's been behind Miz since the whole Cena thing at Mania, since a little before that. So the Miz is hot right now, man. So let me continue my shit. So Ambrose tries to like trash that, and Rollins comes down for the save, and then they have a backstage segment where Ambrose is like, hey, I handle my own problems. And Rollins was like, that had nothing to do with saving you. I was trying to shut the Miz up. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm glad Ambrose handled it that way, you know? And it was a weak excuse, but I'll take it for now.
Yeah.
So let's move on, and then we'll get to the main event.
Was it the main event next?
I know there was probably some cruiserweight action thrown in.
Oh no,
there
we had
and
a women's match, we had a women's tag match, we had a cruiserweight match. None of that shit really matters though.
Let's keep it moving.
So who cares? Let's talk about the main event. It was Seth Rollins, the man we were just talking about, and he was facing Bray Wyatt in a rematch from Great Balls of Fire, which we were shocked Bray got the W.
Yeah, at Great Balls of Fire, yeah.
And then tonight, Monday night, they have a great match. It was a long match. They had I would say they got like a good 20 minutes in that match. I'm not even like, they got like a good 15 to 20 minutes at least. That was a pretty long match. But had storytelling,
and
the usual.
The Sister Abigail to end it was vicious.
Exactly. Like,
Super
let's talk
vicious.
about that.
I just did.
Yeah. The lead up to that was basically, though, what I'm trying to say is that the way he set it up was that he got to Rollins the same way he did at Great Balls of Fire by poking him, putting a thumb in his eye, whatever, poking him in the eye and shit. Yeah. But yeah, Rollins
fingering his eye.
Huh?
Fingering his eye.
Yeah. Pause. But anyway, that Sister Abigail was fucking crazy, yo. That he hit that canvas hard, and then to our surprise again, Bray Wyatt gets 2 wins in a row.
It was
the coincidence.
I love it.
What's the coincidence?
It's fucking dope though, because it's like, finally, man, like, give this to him. Start building. Now, this was gonna be like, I know I loved the Joe, Brock, Reigns segment earlier in the night, but this was gonna be like, I was getting almost goosebumps at the idea of it. So Bray wins, the lights go out, and then Bray's gone. And Rollins is just in the middle of the ring by himself, beaten up. And then you see The Miz and the Miztourage coming through the crowd, like
Mm-hmm.
unbuttoning. Miz is like unbuttoning his like sleeves, like he's ready to go. And they're just kind of like stalking Rollins, about to enter the ring. And like in my mind, I'm like, yo, if they have the Miz and the Miztourage brutally beat up Rollins to close the show,
Yeah.
it would be fucking awesome, because I love when Raw or even SmackDown end where some mid card guys are standing tall on a usually main event guy at the end of an episode. So like I remember when New Day was first coming up, when they were originally their heel selves and they were still struggling to get some traction, they ended a Raw where the New Day had beaten up like John Cena, some main event guys, and it closed the show. I forget who the other two were, but I remember how that helped the New Day's momentum. Just seeing them like, yo, the New Day just did that? Yeah, because they got
that.
numbers, and there's power in numbers. And so for them to do that, it was dope for them. So when I saw the Miztourage coming to stalk Rollins, I was like, this is going to be a big moment for the Miztourage.
Yep.
And it should be. Close the show with a brutal beating of Rollins. But what do we get?
I was just going to ask you, but what?
Well, they start to go to work on Rollins, and then Ambrose hits the ring.
And Ambrose comes for the save, yep.
And to me, that's bullshit. Because what did Ambrose just say earlier in the night? You handle your problems, I handle mine. Yeah. Now you're coming out to save Rollins now? And you could say it like, hey, I thought about it, and, you know, you did me a solid, so I did you one. But, like I could picture him saying that next week. But, like, come on, you just talked your shit early in the night about my problems, your problems, and now you're coming down for the save? That wasn't... The Miztourage wasn't your problem at that point, right? So...
Yeah. The one thing I could say, though, is Miz now has fuel to talk even more shit about him. Like, everything he's been saying. Like, you're this one day, then you're that the next day. Like, you don't know what the hell to do.
Bro, the Miz always got that fuel.
So the Miz is gonna
rip it, and I fucking love that. Yep. I just didn't like Ambrose and Rollins ending up standing tall at the end of it. But like that could have been a big moment for Miztourage, I just thought. But that didn't even close it.
It really wasn't even the closing, because then we hear Ambrose's music playing in the background, but it gets cut to Angle, and he's backstage, and he's on the phone, and he's like, please, nobody's gonna think of it like that. Why are you thinking like that? You know, let's just why don't you just come down next week, and we'll go and we'll tell everybody. We'll let the whole world know. You know, if you do that, I'll be so happy, you know? And he's like, I love you. Yeah. And he hangs up the phone. And Raw ends. Okay, and at this point, I'm thinking to myself, after everything we talked about, how hot this fucking Raw could have been, how it could have blown, in my opinion, SmackDown out the water. You're going to end with some shit like that. And then to top it off, the rumors I'm hearing about the storyline.
Before you even get there, let me say how I was feeling at the end of it. So at the end of it, I wasn't like mad. Like I was more mad at the Ambrose Rollins thing than I care about the cell phone thing. I didn't mind that. I'm like, this angle, they've been working on it, no pun intended. And I was just confused. Like, I really didn't know what to think. I haven't even known what to think of this whole thing since it started. Like, it started initially with the whole Enzo and Cass thing kind of mixed in with it. And so, like, I thought maybe it had something to do with that. But now that the Enzo and Cass thing is over, it's just kind of a separate thing. It was just confusing for me at the start because I didn't catch it at its inception. So I was trying to catch up. But Graves is still kind of trying to help Angle with this whole thing, apparently. And so Graves is still stepping away from commentary throughout the night. And so Angle has this conversation. And I have no fucking clue what he's even talking about. Like, I couldn't guess what the hell this shit is about if I wanted to. Because I'm just lacking too much information, I guess. So I was just kind of like, all right, well, I guess finally this thing will end, I guess. Like, I'm not super invested in it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of confused. Like, they haven't even dropped red herrings. Like, at least the Enzo and casting was cool because they had the whole Revival red herring, you know, and it was kind of a cool thing to ease the Revival back in and shit like that. and it led to a big payoff. That was key, the big payoff with it being cash. So whenever you're building something like this, if you're not going to give red herrings or clues, and we're just sitting here confused waiting for the payoff, that means the payoff has to be fucking solid. The payoff has to be great. So if whatever the payoff is next week, it better be the shit. Unfortunately, though, which you were about to get into, we got some rumors floating around about what this payoff is. Now, go ahead.
Well, I know one of the main rumors we saw on a random post, and then I actually saw it posted on, one of the dirt sheets online. And it was that Chad Gable is going to be Kurt Angle's son that supposedly he might have with another woman, or maybe the woman might be Stephanie McMahon.
Which
and that'll
would
lead to his feud with Triple H and Kurt Angle returning in the ring for WWE, which I would be so fucking mad and disappointed if that's the way that we're gonna build towards him and Triple H, because
there's
no one really believes he ever had anything with Stephanie McMahon. There's no one that will ever believe that. You're not gonna make us believe that. Maybe some little kids might believe that, but then at that point, like, that's not your target audience for Kurt Angle. You know what I mean? Like, the legend, So,
yeah, exactly.
that shit is stupid to me. One thing I did think, because I saw someone make a joke like, oh, the phone call is Dixie Carter saying that he's still under contract with TNA, which Dixie Carter was the owner of TNA, but now she's officially not. So she's basically not involved with any wrestling at all. Besides, she was on the WWE 24 for Kurt Angle. She got interviewed on it. So maybe Chad Gable is his son, but imagine like he's the love child of Kurt Angle and Dixie Carter. Mm-hmm. That'll be crazy, but still kind of disappointing because I don't want to see Kurt Angle in a freaking love storyline. I
don't even see exactly.
But that's the way it's going.
The end game for that though. Like, what would be the point of that whole thing?
Just so the wow factor that she's showing up in WWE. But then where do you go from there? You know what I mean? Exactly. So not worth it to me. But if it's going towards a love storyline like it looks, because he ended his phone call saying "I love you."
With "I love you."
I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck to expect. I just know like somehow they're gonna fuck this shit up, and I'm gonna be so disappointed. And that whole shit's gonna be trash.
One more time. Can I rip it?
Yes, you can.
All right, let's go. As far as the rumor of Chad Gable being the illegitimate son of Kurt Angle and Stephanie, this is so fucking stupid. I can't even imagine whose fucking idea this was. We're not gonna believe it because we're in an era now. Maybe in the Attitude Era, this shit could have worked. But we know everything that's going on now. We're not 7 years old, 6 years old. The internet is hugely popular at this point. There's no way we'd believe that. I don't mind like trying to connect Gable to Angle. Like that was gonna come eventually, and even the idea of Angle managing American Alpha was a thing before Angle even came back. So cool. I hate this for Gable. Well, I hate it for American Alpha because yes, they're not really being used right now, but they haven't even really gotten that opportunity yet, and they can be huge for that SmackDown division. But what I've noticed, which I mentioned to you earlier when we spoke about this, is that we've actually seen Gable get more airtime in the last couple of weeks. So if this is going for that reveal of Gable being the son of Angle, it's kind of coincidental that we've been seeing Gable so much more. Not only that, but Gable, who used to have singles matches and come out with Jason Jordan, and Jason Jordan would just like dap him up at the top of the ramp and then leave him. Now Jason Jordan isn't even coming out with him when Gable's had singles matches. He's had 2 big singles matches in the last couple of weeks. One with Owens in the U.S. Open Challenge, which he did very well. And then one with Styles last week to get into the Battle Royal for the U.S. title #1 contender match. And then he didn't even have a role in this SmackDown in terms of in-ring action, but he was actually shown backstage when Maria was going around looking for Sami Zayn. So it's like they're just got him mixed in and we don't see Jason Jordan at all. So now I'm feeling like, what, are they scrapping American Alpha? it makes it seem like, okay, so maybe the rumors are true that Gable will go to Raw because of this. And I hate that for American Alpha. And I hate that Raw is just going to take Gable from SmackDown and put her on Raw. Like, I hate that from that angle. I'm not even going to get into how stupid the whole Stephanie Angle relationship thing is going to be, because that's plain as day. I don't know. It's just a bad situation. Like I said, the payoff has to be big. This would not be a big payoff. This would be kind of random, and I wouldn't even... Like, there's so many other avenues you could get Angle to re-debut in the ring with. And even with the whole Triple H thing, there's so many avenues you can go to have Triple H go against Angle. The fact that Angle is running Raw and maybe Steph and Triple H want to come back and take power. Like, you could... That's super simple, but, like, you can go with that avenue. And Angle and Triple H would sell it. What you're not going to sell to me is that Angle and whether it's Stephanie or whoever have an illegitimate son in Chad Gable. Like, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I couldn't have said it any better. I kind of said basically the same thing, but we seem to be on the same page. This shit is stupid. This shit is really dumb. I'm not feeling it at all, but I guess the only thing we could do, like WWE knows we will do, is tune in to find out what the hell's gonna happen.
Oh shit, we suck. Yeah. We just rip shit and then we succumb to it anyway, and we're like, all right, well, time to tune in. Shit.
Oh man, but yeah,
that's the life of a wrestling fan. That's the life of a WWE fan. So we can't even knock it.
Yep. But all in all, man, that was wrestling for the week, at least in WWE.
Yes.
Have you seen the 24 special on Kurt Angle?
No, and I actually haven't even seen the Balor one. Wow. And there was actually another special on Kevin Owens. I don't know if that was on the network, but there was an Owens documentary recently as well.
Kevin Owens, yeah.
I haven't seen any of those, and I gotta catch up.
So I saw the Balor one, but I haven't seen the KO or the Kurt Angle. So
okay, that's
I'm about to binge watch that soon. Yeah. So yeah, man.
But with that being said, great week.
Dang, player.
great week in wrestling. Raw had its high moments. SmackDown had pretty solid fucking storytelling throughout, and so that was even good. If you want to rank them, I give it. I don't even want to say Raw had a better week. But Raw was really fucking good, and I enjoyed that. So was SmackDown. So I'm not even gonna compare the two. But it was a good week. Thank you for listening, as always. The day you listen to this is probably like Thursday or Friday. What would it be? July 13th or July 14th?
14th, yeah.
Whenever you listen to it, hope you enjoy it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for hitting us up on Instagram, on social media. You could catch our podcast on SoundCloud. We're waiting to get approved by iTunes. So by the time you hear this, maybe we will be. Maybe you're listening to this on iTunes. So subscribe. Keep listening. Keep rocking with us. I'm at WorkinGenius. My partner, FakinNoMoves, here with me as always. Enjoy your day, your night, whenever you're listening to this. Peace, love, all that.
Peace.